I think, this information operation, this propaganda campaign. Because look, I was involved with the one that the CIA was doing against the Soviet Union back in let's see, I was November of 1985. I worked on that for 8 weeks, so I saw how this works from the other side. And you always start with a kernel of truth, but then the question is, who's the audience? Who are you trying to influence? And I would argue that this propaganda campaign that's underway about all the riots and the unrest and the protest, it's not directed at Iran. It's directed at the United States and Europe to create this perception that, oh, yeah, the government is weak and it's going to collapse, to justify what Israel and the United States are going to try to do. And so, what do you think, Professor?
I agree. I think that first of all, what Nima says is absolutely correct. I mean, our consumption is really out of control. That includes people like me. I mean, since gasoline is so cheap, since natural gas is cheap, it's not as if I wear a jacket at home, even when it's very cold, because it really doesn't cost me anything to pay gas bills, comparatively speaking. Of course,
Right.
for people in Iran who are very, have huge financial difficulties, and everything is costly. But what the government wants to do is, because President Pezeshkian is, and like President Raisi before him, both of them are left-leaning, even though they come from different political camps, although both are centrist or were centrist. The plan basically is to decrease the subsidies slowly and to use them for infrastructure and for disenfranchised neighborhoods, and to increase wages or support from the state for people who are less well off. But the problem is that it's not easy, and you're going to have inflation, and so it's going to, there will be hiccups, and then the West will use this opportunity to create unrest. They will use any new policy, any change in Iran, any fracture and exploit it to the maximum.
All right, folks, hold on just a second. We've got something important to share with you. First off, a big thank you for all your incredible support. Our team's been putting in the hours, really working hard to bring you insightful guests, new and improved formats, solid, high-quality analysis every week. Our next goal, hitting that 100,000 subscriber mark and getting that silver button. Let's make it happen together. Every like, comment, share, and subscription truly helps us grow and keep improving. All right then, let's get back to the video.
But I agree. I think it has very much to do with the Netanyahu-Trump. I think Western intelligence agencies are deeply involved. That's where the money comes from. How does it work? You have kids on the street. They're paid through Bitcoin, with Bitcoin or the equivalent, and they meet people online, and they are cultivated through social media. I mean, everyone does this. I mean, Iran does this too, not for violence. The West uses it for violence. In Iran, over the last year, a number of people have been arrested in Israel, and they say they've been spying for Iran. I would assume the Iranians have been cultivating people to carry out espionage through the internet. That's the easiest way to do it nowadays. But in any case, I don't have insider information, but based on what I've read in international media, that's how it works. So the West, which has lots more money, they would obviously use this, but they use it for violence, and they cultivate young people. They cultivate people who are in organized crime. And there's one clip where some young lady is giving drugs to some of these young men on the streets in, I think it was, which city was it? Qazvin. I'm not sure either Qazvin or Zanjan. Anyway, but they arrested her, of course. But the point is that it's these sort of people who are very much involved in the violence, in the not in the peaceful demonstrations. The peaceful demonstrations, I mean, we've had, as I said, during the first day and on other days where we had peaceful demonstrations, no one intervened. But the problem is the police, I mean. But the problem is that these groups come in and they turn it into violent demonstrations. I mean, when we look at the demonstrations in the UK where old women are carrying placards saying no to genocide and they're taken away, or in Germany, people are beaten and battered and arrested for having a kafia out of solidarity for the Palestinians. So to stand again, this young woman who was murdered by ICE hours ago. That's they have no, and the worst of course is the genocide in Gaza. But these intelligence agencies, what is the objective? I don't think that they're dumb enough or foolish enough or ignorant enough to think that the state is going to collapse because of these riots. What I think they want to do is to create an image, as you alluded to, of a weakened Iran. What does that do? That justifies
Right.
violence. That doesn't justify it, but that's what the objective is, to make it more acceptable to the public, just like in Venezuela. Just like in Venezuela,
Right.
what did they do? They strangled the country. Then they created a blockade. They were hoping through the blockade, perhaps, that there would be unrest in the country and that people, and then nothing happened. So after, they started killing people on boats, nothing happened. And then they just went after President Maduro and killed 100 people. All of this was, and then what did the Western media do? The whole time they were saying this is an evil regime. Maduro is evil.
Right.
Even those who were critical of the policies, they were justifying it. That part of the mainstream media, which is anti-Trump, they were still justifying it by saying Maduro is evil.
Right.
And so when the Israeli regime attacked Iran during the 12-day war, and I think they spoke together during that period, what was the Western media saying? They're saying Iran is evil. I was on this guy's show. What's his name?
Piers Morgan.
Piers Morgan. And when he put me on the show, he was basically reading out a list of all the evil things that he was claiming Iran does. Iran is evil for this. Iran.
Right.
And what was he basically doing? He was trying to, and people like him were trying to create an environment where an illegal war seems legitimate to ordinary people. Because they said, well, they're evil. Correct, right? It's an illegal war, but they're evil people, so it's okay. And of course, the Europeans supported the war. No one. The German chancellor said Israel is doing our dirty work for us. So I think it encourages war. It justifies war, illegal war. It justifies death and destruction. And Western media, as we know, is not free. It is very much linked to the state, and so they will basically say more or less what needs to be said.